Welcome. Today we're going to do a couple things on the truck here. I want to add a power switch, on-off switch, to my box here that we installed in the last video. Also going to run the power wires from the battery to the junction block that we installed. And I'm also going to put a 60 amp breaker in just to be on the safe side. And I'm going to put that over by the starter battery because I want to have cut off there so there's not hot power running all the way under the truck into the bed. Just makes it safer that way. So we'll go over to the workbench over here. See, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I do have my 60 amp waterproof breaker here. Picked this up off Amazon. I think it was like $15.99. And then also got an on-off switch. This one's typically used for battery disconnects or winch control cables. This is actually the same exact winch on-off switch that came with my Apex Badlands 12,000 winch. So I know this works really good. Now my plan is obviously I'm going to mount the breaker under the hood, but the on-off switch I want to put on the box where I can reach it without having to open everything up. So I'm going to put it on the outside of the box. I am going to seal it with some RTV, but this way I can have my wires running directly below it. So we'll have to drill a hole in the box here, and I want to have my wires running directly below it, right into the junction block. And so that way it'll make it easier to be able to turn it on, turn it off. And just come over here, flip the switch, and then I know if power's on or off. So we're going to work on that today. I'll show you the cable I got. So I got some 6-gauge cable. I'm not going to be running too much power through the system, so I didn't need anything bigger than that. But what I did pick up was a marine grade. This is a duplex, so it's got power and ground inside, and they are both 6-gauge. And they've got this nice weatherproof sheathing around them. So I figured that would be great. I can run that under the truck and not have to worry about water getting into the wiring. And it'll also help protect the wires under the truck so I don't have just regular wires running through. And this is stranded wire. It is not a solid core wire. So should be a lot easier to work with, easier to manipulate and move around. So let's get under the hood and see where we're going to bolt everything under the hood. Now that we're under the hood, I got the breaker here. So as you can see, this is my on-off switch for my winch, and this did come with the Apex Badlands winch. So I'm going to wire this up to my bus bar and then run the wiring back underneath the cab and then up through the bottom of the bed. There's a couple holes in the bed, and I'm going to put some rubber around to help protect the wire. But we'll just run the wire right up through the bed, zip tie everything up underneath so it's nice and protected and doesn't fall out. Now that we're back at the workbench, I'm going to mark out where I'm going to mount this stuff. So that's where my bolts are going to go through. I am going to bolt this onto here, and that way it's a lot more secure. So I'll grab my drill, and we'll start with something small here. Go over, measure my cable, grab the right tool for the job, and that goes through a lot easier. I'm going to put this on the ground and beat the crap out of it. good. Yeah. Nice positive connection there. Normally use my heat gun, but I got a lighter right here. Works just as good. So that will go over here. Back over here. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this here. All right, well, the breaker part is done. So now I've got to get my wiring, connect it here, and then run it to the back of the truck. Fun. All right, so I got my wire over here. I got the end that's going to go to the bed, and I am going to run it back through here because I've run a few wires back that way and found there's good area to be able to stay away from the exhaust, but yet still go through the bottom of the truck. It is not the easiest to get to. Let me grab my ladder. Alright, I'm going to try and record this here. So I'll move the fender liner out of the way. And I can run this cable right here in the frame rail. Pull it down. Coming. Alright. I'm gonna go back up top and feed it through. Alright, so I'm gonna go under the truck and we're gonna start wiring this up. It's gonna be really hard for me to get you under here just because the truck's on the ground. If I had it on a lift, it'd be a different story, but I'm just gonna run this wire up the frame rail and tie it along with the existing wire that's here. Alright, so I found a spot in here, removed half the fender liner, and was able to get in enough with my step bit to get a hole right where I need it. And I took a piece of that insulation from the wire, put some RTV inside of it. I'm just gonna put it inside here. Oh man, I cut it too long. Let's see. So for this next part, we're gonna have to wire run the wire into the box. Let me get somewhere comfortable here. And this is where we're going to figure out how much wire we need. So my power is going to have to go up here to the switch. So probably need to drill a hole where that's going to be. Figure that out. And once we get the switch wired up, so the power from this is going to the switch, and then another one's going to come down here to the power on the box, on the junction block, excuse me. And then my ground is going to come right over here and plug into the ground block right there. Alright, so I got that crimped onto there, routed through. Now we'll run it back into the box. Drill the hole for our switch. So we need to get the switch wired up. So I got two 17mm nuts inside the switch. So I'll take those nuts and lock washers off. I'm gonna bring my one. Alright, now we've got the switch here that I want to put in, or charging port. And I'd like to put it right here. I think that'd be a good spot. So I'm going to use a step bit again. Before I tighten this down, I'll pull the cover off. Make sure I have it turned like so. That way I'll be able to read the display from the bed of the truck here. Okay, so that's tight. Close that up. Now, should grab my little wire strippers. Got my on-off switch here. Turn that on. And got full voltage coming from the battery.
One eternity later.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a beautiful day outside, so I figure we'll work on the truck outside today. But I got my new Bluetti Charger 2 in today. So I figured I'd go through the box, show you everything that it comes with, and go ahead and install it in the box that we've been working on in the back of the truck. All right, so I'm gonna go over this real quick. Obviously, this is the Charger 2 unit, and this is the extra box that came with it. And this has all of our power cables. Got the manual here. It's got this cable here, which I won't be running. This is if I want to plug it into to charge multiple batteries or power stations. Let's see, we got the plug here. This is the main wire to run to the battery. And I got two plugs here that can be used for solar or plugging into this for plugging into my charging station. And then also you've got a 75 amp fuse here, which I actually won't be using because we installed that breaker yesterday when we wired up everything back there. So I won't be installing that. These cables, this is going to be really short to plug in here. So I've got this cable here that came with my Bluetti 100, the Elite 100. So I could plug this in here and that'll give me more reach to be able to plug in elsewhere. So I'll be using this cable instead of this one. I don't have solar yet, but I'm going to go ahead and wire this up and have it in the box. So that way when I do get a solar panel, I've got everything there ready to go. Now, one other thing to take into consideration is if you have a vehicle with a smart alternator, which I do. There is another wire you're supposed to have that plugs into here. It's the D+ wire. So this wire basically you wire into something that is only powered when the ignition's on and the vehicle's running. They do not come with the adapter to be able to wire something in here, and you do have to purchase the cable separately. But the only thing that does is if the alternator charging drops below a certain voltage, the Bluetti unit will go to sleep. So I'm not worried about installing that right this minute. I'm going to go ahead and order the cable from Bluetti, but it might be a little bit before that comes in. But we're going to go ahead and do the install on this and get it in the box and get it mounted. So first thing you want to do, you got two screws here. You take these two screws out and this cap will come off. And that will give us access to this side of the box. And as you can see there, that's where all the screws are, so you can tighten everything. These are our inputs and outputs. We've got the D+, like I said. This goes to the alternator, so to the charging battery. This one, this is charge plus and minus. That's the one that's going to go to the power station. PV is for your solar. And they've got a DC panel here, so if you bought the DC hub, you could plug that in there. And then we got battery here. So this is if you wanted to wire into a separate battery system, or this is when you'd use this one. So that would plug in there, and then you could use this if you wanted to charge multiple power stations, which I'm not doing, so I don't need to use any of this or the DC panel because I don't have the DC hub yet. I do plan on getting one at some point, but not right now. So we're going to wire up the PV, the charge, and the battery. So that's what I'm going to wire up now. So this one will wait until we get everything in the vehicle. Now these I'll put here. So we'll loosen these up. Alright, so I know that will mount there. We'll be fine. So now I gotta figure out where to mount the charger to. So I want to have the cables coming out here so it's pretty close and not far from the power station. So I'm going to want to mount it in this area here. But the first thing I need to do is drill a hole in the bottom of the box for the wiring to come out of. For that, I am going to use my step bit. Let's see. I think right there. perfect size. So that will work there. This I'll have mounted right about there. Actually, mounted a little lower. So I'm going to bring the power cables up around here over to my junction box. All right, so now we're back at the workbench. I'm going to cut this wire. Probably have to work a little bit to get rid of these. Now I got my positive, negative here. Heat gun. And I have some ferrule terminals that I'm going to use on here. Hopefully I have some big enough. Don't know. That might work. I'd prefer to get it just a little bit deeper on there. So, oh yeah, that worked. Perfect. All right, come back over to the workbench. There we go. Nice good crimp on there. Enough room there to go from positive to negative on my junction block. Now let's go back out to the truck. All right, so I've got the truck running right now. I've got everything wired up. I've got my Elite 100 here. So I'm gonna turn the Charger 2 on. I did get all my firmware updates done, and actually had 3 that needed to be done here on my Elite 100. So let's plug it in and see if we can get any charge out of it. Should probably be a lot easier if I could use the app, but I can't with my phone recording right now. I'm gonna shut you guys off, open up the app real quick, and see what's going on. All right, well, now that we got everything finished up, here is a view of everything working with my ice coat refrigerator. It's looking really good. I'm very happy with the results. If you'd like to see more content like this, make sure and check out these videos here, and make sure and comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see. Put a comment down below and what you would like to see in future videos.